Avdiivka, the largest offensive of the Russian army. The moment the Ukrainian army and command stood alone against an overwhelming tide of enemies, the Russians have a tens of times advantage. Hundreds of military vehicles began moving toward Ukrainian positions. None of the fighters know whether they will return home today, but they have no intention of retreating or surrendering their land. Hundreds of military vehicles move simultaneously along the entire front line in long columns. Russian forces outnumber Ukrainians by tens of times. Right here, this is the opening seconds of what will become one of the heaviest armored pushes on Avdiivka. 2 brigades, 1 narrow front, and these men are standing in the middle of it. Notice the layering here. Drone coverage first, then armor. That's a combined arms push. Someone on the other side planned this carefully. No time to assess, no time to reposition. You fight with what you have, where you stand. That's the reality of the first 60 seconds of a surprise assault.
Близко.
Вот там, где 2 дерева, выглянул, запрятался.
Они здесь где-то. Рядом слышу. Вот они орут, вот буквально.
Все, готовьтесь до боя.
Вижу москаля.
О, по нам! Це по нам, обережно!
Бачу, один спрятался. Він вийшов назад. Дай гранату, пацан.
Тримайся!
Кулемет.
Щось їде. Їде.
Все, мовчу. Якщо сформували колону, висувайтесь до моста.
When the scale of the assault became clear, Ukrainian command made a critical decision. Reinforce, don't retreat. Fresh units were pushed forward into an active kill zone. That takes discipline. That takes trust in the men on the ground.
Пішли.
Вони працюють по окопам. Ми рухаємо склад.
Вірус, я крайня, плюс. Не стріляти, тут наші, не стріляти, тут наші. Так.
По моїй команді, навіть вогонь по бліндажу.
Плюс. Джокер, максимально вправо рухайся, я тримаю бліндаж.
Давай гранату. Ще одну.
For hours, these men held trenches with enemy infantry literally on the other side of the wall. No clean lines, no safe positions. Every meter of ground contested, every second a decision between advancing and surviving. But at the most tense moment on the battlefield, they appeared. Bradley.
Арфа, я хамер, що ти під'їжджаєш, старьо? Хамер, я Арфа, я на місці, не піднялися. Тебе там перехрестя буде, перехрестя посадом. Дистанція 2 кілометри, там техніка ворожа.
Откуда-то вилетіло, от отсюда, де таблиця, я не знаю.
Це вони побре...
Попало прямо в мій угол, де я сидів.
The Ukrainian Bradley took damage from an RPG, but it didn't stop it. The armor held up. The Bradleys essentially became the spine of this counteraction, absorbing fire, delivering men, suppressing armor. Without them, the infantry in those trenches had no way out and no reinforcement coming. Bradley provides cover for the infantry and prevents the Russians from approaching the infantry's fortifications. Ukrainian tanks fought back against the Russians, defeating them. But the front is wide and the situation is different everywhere.
Тяжелая техника, такая, как сюда едет, туда по звуку.
Зліва! На 10! На 10!
Дайте отеску, блядь.
Одеску! Лягай, лягай, лягай.
Танчик, ложись, блядь. Легай, блядь, сука, легай, блядь.
Ми в оточенні, по нас їбашать танками! По нас танками їбашать, це риш, по нас
What you're
танками
seeing here is a
їбашать!
classic encirclement attempt. The Russians pushed armor around the flanks, while infantry pressure kept Ukrainian forces pinned in the trenches. The goal was simple: collapse the position from all sides.
Дуже невеликі ділянки через наші бойові порядки. От.
This is where modern warfare reveals itself. A single FPV operator, a consumer-grade drone, and a target acquisition window of seconds. The cost ratio is staggering, a $50 drone neutralizing a multi-million-dollar armored vehicle. What the FPV footage shows here isn't chaos, it's methodology. Identify, approach, strike, repeat. The Russians sent 2 brigades of armor into a corridor that Ukrainian drone operators had already turned into a hunting ground. One operator, one drone, one less tank. Multiply that by the length of this engagement, and you begin to understand how those columns were stopped. Column after column, vehicle after vehicle. Ukrainian drone teams work systematically, not frantically. That level of composure under pressure is what separates trained operators from everything else. The Bradley crews are not holding back. They are driving into active contact, engaging armor at close range, absorbing direct hits and continuing to fight. This is not support from a distance. This is frontline combat. At this point, the Bradley crews have taken hits, extracted casualties, re-engaged, and are still moving forward. That vehicle and those men are earning every bit of their reputation right here.
Ми будемо пробувати просуватись.
За бліндажом.
Йди зі мною.
Між нами підери!
Не йди сам.
Я бачу, де вони, що вони.
Аль-Каїда, блядь, сам пішов.
Слідуючий.
Вони лівіше, десь на 11.
Ти бачиш?
Ну звідти голоса чутно.
Сука, та припиніть дорогу, тут плавати не надо.
This level of infantry concentration tells you something about Russian command decisions at this stage. They accepted enormous casualty rates in exchange for breakthrough pressure. That is not a sign of strength. That is a sign of desperation.
Аль-Каїда! Поряд! Гранати, у тебе є гранати? Аль-Каїді потрібні гранати.
Дай я гранату, брат. Давай.
На маршрут бігають, без паніки. Лечу, я просто не розумію, де вони.
Це вони кидають! Це вони! Граната! А, нога!
Field medicine under combat conditions is its own form of courage. No hospital, no sterile environment, just training, composure, and the determination to keep that man alive long enough to reach proper care.
Іде кров.
In the middle of one of the heaviest engagements on this front, someone stopped to make sure this man didn't die alone in a trench. The situation for Ukrainian soldiers is starting to deteriorate. Half of them are wounded and cut off from the rest of the group. The enemy is approaching and encircling them from all sides.
Вже близько, кричать здавайте. Давайте мені автомат і уйобуйте, я сам.
In every war, in every generation, there is that soldier, the one who looks at his wounds and looks at his rifle and makes a very simple calculation.
Не будуть тримати тут оборону, наче нас нема шансу. Ось тут оборону. Все.
A Ukrainian officer has requested evacuation and reinforcements are already on the way. All these soldiers need to do is survive until they arrive.
Тримайся.
Тримайте сектори. Крийте піхоту кулеметами, давай.
With the smokescreen established, the Bradley crews made their approach. These vehicles had already been in the fight for hours. They'd taken hits, they'd extracted infantry, they'd engaged armor. And now they were being asked to drive back into an active contact zone to pick up wounded. They didn't hesitate.
Давай, давай.
The evacuation was successful and proceeded quickly.
Задачі ми виконали те, що вимагалося від нас.
Притримав, ноги, тримайте.
The wounded soldiers were given help and they will live. And then the Leopards entered the engagement. German engineering, Ukrainian crews, and a very clear understanding of what needed to be done. From this point forward, the armor balance on this battlefield shifted completely. The Leopard 2 is widely considered one of the most capable main battle tanks in the world. What you're watching here is not a demonstration. This is combat confirmation. First shot, direct hit, enemy tank destroyed. That is the standard this platform was built to meet. Watch this carefully. The Leopard crew identified the target, calculated the firing solution, and delivered a single round at combat range. One shot, one destroyed tank. That level of crew proficiency doesn't happen overnight. These men trained hard for exactly this moment. When the smoke cleared and the engagement was over, the scale of what had just happened became visible. Destroyed armor as far as the drone could reach, vehicles that had driven into this corridor with full crews, now silent, immobile, scattered across the approach routes like a warning to everything that came after them. What you're looking at now is the result of that decision, to send columns of armor and massed infantry into a prepared defensive position. Vehicle after vehicle stopped at different points along the axis of advance, some by FPV drones, some by Leopard rounds, some by Bradley fire, each one a decision made by a Ukrainian soldier or operator in real time. There is no fight anymore. There are just hundreds of bodies and dozens of machines. This is what defeat looks like from above. Columns that started the day moving forward, ending it as landmarks on a battlefield they never crossed.